It's that time again. Babel's here. This time we have Nocturnal Path, and also we have a bonus Babel. This is Fallen Star Babel, the original Babel as far as I understand. So for this Babel, I'll run you through this after we do the current Babel. There are separate rewards for this Babel. You can see them here. The rewards for normal Babel are much better, and they are also much easier to obtain. So here we have this patch's Babel. You can see there are 3 stages: the Transcendent stage, the Shark Will Be Element stage, and this is Physical stage. You can see by the points I've obtained, this is certainly the most challenging stage. If we come into missions, you can check all of the rewards here. Now, to get all of the rewards, it's quite easy this patch. It's only 120 points. If you would like the trophies as well, then you will need the same as last Babel, which is a total of 600 points. Now, in terms of breaking this down per level and how many points you need, I've done that in past Babel guides. You can check out my last Babel guide, which I'll link at the end of this video. So let's get straight into how to play the stages and what do you need to be aware of. So to start with, we've got our Transcendent stage. A lot of you will have 4 Transcendents now: Selena, Camus, Ronald's, and Chu. For the 2 worst Transcendents you have, feel free to use them on the same team, and that will make things a little bit easier. Now onto the buffs and debuffs. The custom debuffs for this stage are quite annoying, especially these 2 here. Now, you can have them off, you will lose a few points, but this is still a plenty high score. I suppose you'll have to see how your account is and where your constructs compare. This is SSS plus Camus, as you can see by the 8100 BP. You can see that I cleared this stage just like this with 94 points. I actually had to turn the HP buff off because it was taking so long. I'm actually very curious to see how free-to-play Camus does here, especially with this buff. Moving on, we have 3 buffs. These are the 2 that I picked. The shield I never tested because the HP was so OP I never needed it. Feel free to pick whichever one works better for you. You can either have a shield every time you use orbs for 3 seconds, or you can have HP. The lower your HP, the more HP you get back. This is a given because extra damage, and you're not going to be switching out constructs because obviously you only have 1. Now, the quick overview of this is that there are 2 enemies. They will generate energy over time. There's nothing you can do about this. Once they have enough energy, they will fuse into one enemy. If you get damaged by them, they will gain stacks. If they get to 8 stacks, then they will get extra energy, and they will also recover 30% of their max HP. Eventually, when their energy runs out, they will unfuse and go back to their regular state, in which case you should absolutely destroy them. As soon as one is dead, the other one can no longer fuse, and then you're good. In regards to the stacks, basically, don't get hit. Here you can see our stage and our 2 enemies, and this beautiful space backdrop. You can see the HP drop as Camus shreds through it. Even SSS Plus, it's still not enough to stop them from fusing. You'll see they go into a state of invulnerability and I can no longer damage them. Once they have fused, you will find that attacking them is actually not working. You will need to rotate and click with the manual lock on. There seems to be a glitch, but maybe it will be patched in the official version. This is the beta after all. You can see that they have regained their full HP. So pretty much all you need to do is stack orbs in this mode and prepare for when they are unfused again. Now you can try and damage them, but I never found it to be of any use, and I found that the best thing to do is to just survive while they are in this mode. Eventually they will unfuse again, just like this. And you can see that they have 50 HP each, so you can go back to using your ult and getting all your damage out. This process will repeat until the fight is ended. Moving on to the second stage, we have the Shark stage. Now, this stage is set up so that you can use your element teams. It is also set up so that you can solo it with our new Liv. Liv will quite easily bully both Sharks into submission and make them look like they were never a challenge. The 2 main buffs to be aware of in this stage are these 2 here. This one will make it so that your helpers will not heal, and this one will make it so that instead of this second shock appearing when the first shock has 5 HP left, they will both come in at about the same time. The way that this stage works is that you have 2 stages. The first stage is you have some allies. You need to defend these allies until they reach a certain checkpoint. If you do not, they will die. There's no big deal. But if you do manage to defend them, then you'll gain 3 separate buffs. You can see these buffs here. You do have to stand in the circle of these buffs. They will be laid out in separate areas, and the only way you can get all of these buffs together is by standing in this tiny triangle. I would just prioritize the attack buff, but you do whatever works for you. If you're a whale, you won't even care about this buffs. It will be quicker to just let them die, and then when they die, all the corrupted will disappear. You can then just move on to fighting the bosses. Once your allies have either made it to the end of the stage or been defeated, you will start the second phase of this Babel stage, and this is where the shark boss will come in. Now, depending on if you have this buff selected or not, you will have 1 or 2 sharks to fight. If you don't have it selected, you will have to fight 1 shark until 5 HP, and then the second shark will come in, so you will finish the first shark off quickly, and then you'll be back down to fighting 1. If you have this selected, the first shark will come in, and then the second shark roughly 10 or so seconds later, so you fight both at the same time. Now, if you're a whale, this isn't a problem. As you can see, I have the max clear with just a single live. Who would win, 1 healer or 2 sharks? Have fun bullying sharks with live. The buffs on this stage, you only need 10 points to have both of them. Now, as you can see, this is literally set up as we only have 1 live that is an amplifier, and this 1 amplifier construct. So it is literally set up so that you can have all the points and play live solo. Otherwise, if you're going for a normal clear, you can see that we have Ice Team, and then we also have full points selected for the buffs. Here you can see our 3 allies. If you save them and they get to the end where this notice signal is, you will get their 3 buffs. They will be positioned in a triangle, 1 here, 1 roughly here, and then 1 roughly here. If that happens, then there's a tiny little triangle in the center of the stage you can stand in for maximum damage. Otherwise, you will need to stand in the representative circle to get the buff. Now, as you can see, I'm just letting them die. This is a whale strategy because it's quicker than me killing all the corrupted and having buffs that I don't need in the end. Please note that even if you distract the corrupted and they're free to move, the allies will not move unless they have more than 50% HP. So as you can see there, once they're dead or make it to the finish, the next phase starts. Here we fight the shark. And now because of the buff we have on, the next shark should come in very soon. There we are, 2 sharks. And now we fight both at once. It's not such a big deal if you have live. Even if you get bullied a little, you can just heal back up. Nice and simple. Moving on to the next stage. On to the third and final stage, which was an absolute nightmare. You can see the 2 buffs here are quite painful. This one allows you to fall off the edge rather than just there being an invisible wall, and this buff will give you less time to destroy the things that destroy the stage. This is just powering up the boss for these 2 buffs here. This whole stage was quite painful, even with SSS plus A2. There's not much to say here other than good luck. This is the near boss, but on the ultimate difficulty. Obviously, you can put less debuffs on, and you will have an easier time of killing him. For this stage, you actually have 4 different buffs. Now, you can only pick 2, so you have to pick wisely. For me, with this stage, we had A2. Now, she gets a lot of use out of her blue and red orb, so I picked the blue and red orb buffs. Below us, we have a yellow orb buff, and we also have this buff here, which stops you from falling off the edge once, and you also get some random orbs. This is probably the best buff as long as you keep rotating and using your ultimate, and then you won't have to worry about the stage falling to pieces. If you have to choose between these two buffs, if you need the heals, then take the healing for the blue orb. Otherwise, why not take extra damage? Once these are summoned, you have a certain time in which to destroy them. You have to destroy both of these. If you destroy one, if this has even 1 HP left, then the floor is going to get destroyed anyway. So make sure you destroy both within the time allotted, or you will lose the stage just like that. Now the second thing to note is that this can be rather finicky. Even if I dash over there, that still counts as I was out. So be very careful, especially with your dodges. Even if I dodge over it like so, that will still count as a stage out, and you will get an instant game over. This is the main thing to be aware of when playing this fight. It can be quite frustrating, so tailor the buffs and debuffs to your needs. With all that said and done, you should be well equipped to tackle this Babel now. Now that we've covered the current Babel, let's move on to the next Babel. This one here, the very first Babel. There's not a lot to say about this one. The buffs are really nasty, and most of the time you'll just want to overpower things. What do I mean by nasty buffs? Instead of the unique buffs we have with the newer Babels, where each individual enemy has its own unique buffs, like bringing an extra shock into the battle early, and so on. This Babel, it was more about taking away your ability. So, no dodges, extra shields for the enemies, more HP for the enemy, a lot of annoying buffs like that. Here you can see we played this stage with physical team, and we achieved maximum score. So like I said, no dodges, healing received decrease. It's a lot of debuffs that take away from the player's ability to do things, rather than just something that is a unique challenge to get around. Once you've set your buffs and debuffs, these stages are pretty straightforward. Basically, you just go in and you clear the waves, and that's it, the fight is over. There's nothing too unique or fancy about them. Once you're finished, you can come down here, and you can claim your rewards. As I stated earlier, the rewards are not so great for this Babel, considering the time and effort you'll have to put in. You're much better off spending that in the other Babel. However, if you have time for both, and your account is set up well enough, then why not do both? You can see there are 5 stages to this Babel, and it doesn't really make any difference, because all that means is instead of doing 3 stages 9 times, you just do 5 stages 9 times. So you're still doing the same amount of stages with the same constructs. I used live in this Babel, and I also used live in this Babel, so your characters do not get locked out of one Babel if you use them for another. If you'd like to see my last Babel guide, where I break down the different points and things that you'll need to earn the different rewards and badges and the best ways of doing so, then feel free to check out this one here. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.